This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
I'm ready to party. You're ready to party. Let's party!
He's Derek.
I was eating that box and I just thought, is this who you are? 1 a.m. in this suite, busting up that box and shoving it in my face.
She's Romaine.
The truth is, ladies, that these dudes out here really do be gay. They want dick. Period.
This is Derek and Romaine.
2.0, bitches. Boop, boop, boop. Hello, Derek. How are you doing?
Does he want box or does he want dick?
Well,
Nobody knows at this point.
I don't know. I would think that if he is you, it would be dick. But, I mean, in this case, you sounded like you really were enjoying that box.
I don't know. Maybe I should switch things up. Go to box. You know, new
I'd
new
love
year,
to,
new me.
I'd love to see this new you. I can't even imagine what that would be like. Oh, God, that's terrifying.
Probably not.
You poor thing. Oh, God. The idea of you in box. Oh, that's comical.
Well, you know, I enjoy eating.
Well, who doesn't?
But I don't necessarily enjoy, like, chewing gum. So I don't know that I would really enjoy munching on something that there's nothing to it but munch. You know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying. And, yeah, you have, you are right about that.
Just a little nibble in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay. Derek here along with Romaine, and we'll be joined in a few minutes by today's guest. He is an author from Can America. You know what? I can't say that
Can America anymore.
Thing. It's Canada. It's actual Canada.
They're Canada now because they don't want any part of
know.
us. And frankly, I don't even feel good associating ourselves with them anymore because they are better than us and they deserve
used to be
more.
ha funny. It's not funny anymore.
Not anymore.
Okay.
No,
Anyway,
it's just sad.
Pete Crighton is with us. He is the author of the Vinyl Diaries, Sex, Deep Cuts, and My Soundtrack to Queer Joy, which is available now everywhere fine books are sold. And his book is all about sort of his sexual misadventures and the songs that went along with it.
Okay.
And Romaine, you and I have both had our own sexual misadventures over the years.
Many sexual misadventures, Derek.
But do you like actually having sex with music on?
I do, actually. So I did a whole episode about this on the Dildo Whisperer not that long ago, maybe a month or so ago. And so here's some of the things I learned because I did a lot of research on sex and music and things like that. So, Derek, the very same internal chemicals that give us pleasure and joy when we listen to music is the same chemicals that are released when we have sex. So we derive the same types of pleasure from both listening to music and from having sex, which I found really fascinating. Because I didn't know that prior to doing this research. And it explains why, for some people, the combination of the two is such a strong combination, because you're getting those pleasure centers triggered from two things that you really enjoy that trigger the same kind of response, right? So it just heightens that response. But to that end, yes, I like music during sex. For me, I find that it can make an okay lover a better lover. Because a lot of times with women, and I'm sure with men too, you have to have some rhythm when you have sex, right? Like you have to have some rhythm. You have to know how to kind of keep the rhythm, how to build the rhythm to get to the point of climax. And not all people have good rhythm. Right? Like I've certainly had lovers who've not had the best rhythm. So I find that if you give them the right kind of music to keep rhythm with, that it can heighten the sexual experience because now they have rhythm where they didn't before. So I like it from a teaching aid standpoint, but also I just like the background noise, especially as a parent, having music on in the background when you're having sex. If you have a kid in the house, can drown out some of the sex noises that might be happening in your bedroom. So sometimes, like Iris and I, over the years, we have some rather loud music sometimes playing during sex to ensure that our poor child isn't scarred by our sexual adventures.
She's going to be scarred anyway.
I mean, yes, she probably is already. But so we definitely do things like that. Like I think music is a great addition to sex. It helps set the mood. Like sometimes I want like a romantic playlist playing when I'm making sweet passionate love to my wife. Other times I want fuck music. Like I want music that's, a little harder, a little rougher. It's a little, I just want to have some, good rough sex. So I want the music that matches that. I tend to match the music style to the type of sexual mood I am in. So yeah, I think music and sex they play very well together, and I certainly utilize that myself. How about you? Do you like sex music or no? Because you like a lot of music. You like to listen to music.
I do enjoy listening to music. I don't mind like music into the mood and everything, but recently, it was not music, but Bobby Pornstar got out of prison, and I went down to Florida, and we were at the hotel hooking up, obviously, and anyway, but he turned on the TV.
No,
I can't remember why. It was like a thing, like, oh, we'll just relax and watch some TV, and then it quickly turned into not watching TV, right?
Right.
But anyway, when he turned on the TV, the hotel we were staying at, like, it defaults to the hotel channel, right?
Yeah, like the welcome channel.
Yeah.
That has like music.
Yeah, it has the tinkly music, whatever. Enjoy our sumptuous amenities by the pool. Ding, 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 ding. Anyway.
Oh, no. That is not what you have sex to, by the way.
Right. So he turns the TV out. We're immediately like, we don't even get to a channel. We're just there on the thing. And I don't know, we're maybe 10 minutes in. And I was like, I had to stop. I was like, we've got to turn this off because I find it annoying and distracting. Because it was just rotating on a pretty short loop.
Right.
It's really only, 2 minutes of content, 3 minutes of content. Like, it's not a lot of content on the hotel channel. And, by the third or fourth time I had heard it, I was like, okay, I can't hear this again. We have to turn this off.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So sometimes the depending on what it is, the music or the TV or whatever could be distracting.
I agree.
As opposed to adding to the moment.
Well, sometimes even music can be distracting like that too. So if you're listening on, let's say, Spotify or something like that, and you have the ads. You could be having great sex music, and then all of a sudden you're mid-fuck, and it's like, hey, this is come buy this car today. And it's like, what the fuck? That is not sex music.
That's why you don't have sex with poor people, Romaine.
Listen.
Because they have ad-supported Spotify.
Listen, I know, Derek. I know. Oh, it's bad. It's really bad when that shit happens. Ugh.
Remember on Sex and the City when Carrie Bradshaw goes home with, like, the younger poor guy to his apartment, and he's using, toilet paper as a coffee filter.
Oh, God.
Whatever it was. I can't remember.
Yeah.
There was something about toilet paper and coffee filters of like, she's peeing and he comes in and takes the toilet paper so he can make coffee. I can't remember. Or they were out of coffee filters, and so then he was like fishing the old coffee filter out of the trash. To make new coffee out of the old coffee filter. I can't remember what it was. Anyway.
Listen, we've all been in a coffee filter situation. Usually it's a paper towel, but yeah.
But anyway, again, at a certain point, you can't
date that person.
You can't indulge the poors sexually in that way
on
their turf.
I agree.
Because then they've got crappy ads in their Spotify or
flakes
you're
of toilet
drinking
paper
coffee
and
filtered
coffee.
through toilet paper. Oh,
yeah, gross. That's
the worst.
Disgusting. That is disgusting. I will say, so when we go on cruises, my wife and I, so when I'm on a cruise, I never turn on the TV in my room. This is like a hard rule for me. I never turn it on. Not once. The entire time we are sailing, I will not turn on my TV one time in my cabin. Not
even
once.
to block out the sex noises while you're at sea?
Nope. I don't ever turn the TV on. And but my wife, literally the second we get into the cabin, she turns on the TV. It drives me fucking. It's one of those things that it's one of the reasons that I do not like cruising with her, because this is a pet peeve of mine. But then she will sometimes leave the TV on, like you in the hotel room. She'll leave the TV on while we're having sex, but then it'll be like on some kind of movie or some shit. And I'm like, this is very distracting. Or it'll be Julie, the cruise director. Let me tell you about bingo tonight in the Star Lounge. I'm like, no, I don't want to hear you while I'm trying to eat pussy. Like that. I find that horribly distracted. It is not the opposite of sexy. It kills my sex drive. I'm like, I can't have sex with you right now. This is bad.
Sorry, Lady Boner. Check out the Lido deck.
Yeah, no, thank you. So I totally could relate to your hotel story. That's what I was saying.
It's hilarious that your wife immediately turns on the TV.
Sometimes
sometimes people cannot handle a quiet room.
I don't understand it. She does it every time we go to like a hotel room, like everywhere. And the thing is, we don't have a TV in our bedroom. We used to, a long time ago, but she would do this shit. And then I was like, oh no, we're not having a fucking TV in our bedroom. She's just going to turn it on all the time, because I couldn't take it. And because she'll like fall asleep while watching TV. And then I'll wake up and the TV's blaring in the middle of the night. And I'm just like, why, Iris? Turn the fucking thing off. Oh, it's so annoying to me. But also, like, I just feel like when you're in your room, you are there to relax or have sex or not be connected to a technology like that. And so, and especially on vacation. When I'm on vacation, I don't want to know what's happening in the world. The world could be under nuclear attack, and I don't want to know. I don't want to know that there's a sinkhole that swallowed my house whole. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Don't want to know. I don't want to know. I want to just be in the place that I am, enjoying what I'm there to enjoy. And I don't see, if I had my way, I'd have them rip the TV right out of my room.
Whoa.
Yeah, I would have them take it away. That's how much I don't want it on when I'm on vacation. Is that weird?
No, but people are very divided about this idea of how connected to continue to be to the outside world while you're on vacation. And in some ways, it is, because I feel this way about planes, right? More so than like the cruise, because like on a plane, you're out of pocket for, unless you're flying internationally, you're really just sort of unavailable for 4 or 5 hours. And the reality is, yes, dramatic things can happen in 4 to 5 hours, but generally your whole life does not change on a day-to-day basis over a 4 to 5 hour period. And it's probably good mentally to have a few hours, every once in a while, where the outside world is not happening, and you can reset your thoughts or read a book or, refocus your energies on something else, and then come back to the world that will still be there when you get back.
Right.
And so I'm less in favor of like the Wi-Fi connection on a plane.
Right.
Just because, can't we just have 4 hours in our seat without having to doom scroll through social media or something? But I do actually, I am wary about being gone for 7 days without connecting to the outside world. Like the length of the cruise not connecting for that long, it makes me jittery of like, what the fuck is happening in the world? Because I do like to stay connected to the world, but I also understand why people are so divided about this, because there are people like you who, when I'm gone for a week, I want to completely unplug.
Right.
The whole point of being on vacation is to be on vacation and to not be working in a tropical paradise.
Sure.
Because, if you want to do that, get a job at White Lotus. You know what I'm saying? So it's a different kind of a thing. But sometimes people have jobs, or like they're traveling away from their kids. And so even though they don't need to talk to their kids constantly or look at them on a nanny cam, it would be too stressful for them to just not know what was happening with their kids for 7 days, or vice versa.
I mean, I will say, I do, when both Iris and I are traveling together and Romy is back home, I will purposely buy the internet package so that I can stay connected with Romy, just to check in, make sure everything's going, they're safe and sound and all that. Like, I'm not worried that she's not fine because I know she's very capable of being fine.
Is she?
Yeah, I mean, yes. I usually have lots of eyes on her while we're away. So, yes, she's fine, but it doesn't mean I don't like to check in. But like, for instance, I think we're on this cruise right now where we are gone for many, many days. And
That's great. I'm predicting.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's where we are right now. But on this cruise, we're actually going to be actively recording new shows and working and things like that. So on this one, I have to stay a little more connected to the world because, we do the show where we talk about, current events and things like that.
Oh, yes. This show is very current right now.
Right. So, but I will say, like with the internet packages on cruise ships getting better and better, in some ways I like it because on situations like this week, it enables me to continue to do my job mostly well. And I can stay in contact with my family while I'm gone for a long period of time. But I also hate it because it doesn't let you completely disconnect, because now I know I can have internet all time, the entire time I'm gone. And so I will, but I wish I didn't, because I won't be able to just kick back and relax. Now, granted, in this trip, it's more work than anything, but you know what I'm saying. I like that ability to just shut things off. I loved when cell phones didn't work on the ships at all, because I basically would get into the ship, I would turn off my phone and I'd put it in the safe, and then I wouldn't touch it until the very end of the trip. And I loved that. For me, that was the best part of a vacation, that just complete and total disconnect, where I could just turn off all of those stressors. Because I don't think people realize how much stress having constant access puts into your daily life. Like, I'll use this administration as a great example, right? So this administration, and I knew it would, the last time Donald Trump was in office, every day I would look at the news and it would give me a lot of anxiety, just a lot of anxiety. And I carried it around for 4 years, all this anxiety of like what's happening in the world. I mean, granted, we had a pandemic, we had all these crazy shit happening. But it just felt very, very stressful. And for 4 years, I just felt like I was living on a knife's edge, right? And so knowing that he got reelected, and I was like, okay, well, how do I prepare for the next 4 years? Because I don't want to experience that again. So I now I limit what political news in particular I allow myself to access. I will once a week for a few minutes, I will go and do like a deep dive. So there's nothing major that I've missed. I'll do like a little bit of surface stuff like daily, but only for a few minutes. And just so I kind of have the headlines of what's going on. Or if I have something I want to ask you about, I'll ask you about it. But I try to avoid it because if I do too much of a deep dive, the level of anxiety I start to feel is so immediate, and
nobody wants that.
It's bad. Like, it's really bad. So I like to not. I say I like to live in the matrix a lot because I feel like if I invest too much, it really does give me a lot of anxiety, and I don't like that. That's not a good way to live.
No, but also there's no real point in going on vacation if you're just going to be riddled with anxiety the whole time you're gone.
Exactly.
Like, that doesn't solve anything.
Nope, it sure doesn't. It sure doesn't. So I'm like, put that shit away. Drop that phone. I mean, this is probably part of the reason why over the years, the longer I've had a cell phone, the less I carry it with me on my person. Like, sometimes I'll just leave it on my desk and walk away for 20 minutes. And this is, I think, part of it is because that constant attachment is stressful. It's just stressful. For me at least.
Yeah, I have to say, for people of a certain age who lived before our modern information age, when most people did not have, there was no internet.
Right.
Most people didn't have cell phones. A lot of people didn't even have like a answering machine or voicemail. So you were really disconnected from people.
Yeah.
And you would write them a letter, and then you'd have to wait for days or weeks to find out what was happening
to get a
with
response from them. Yeah.
Yeah. You'd call somebody and the phone would just ring, and you'd be like, well, I guess I'll just try them another time. Or, you'd make plans with somebody, and then you'd get to the restaurant and they would like not come. And it's like, well, I hope they're okay.
Right.
And then you just kind of would figure at some point we'll connect. So, there was a lot of excitement for those of us who lived in that era about being able to be connected with other people. Like, oh, this would be so great when you're sitting in a restaurant and, you're meeting somebody and you're stuck in traffic. You'll be able to text them and say, hey, I'm stuck in traffic. I'll be 15 minutes late. And then everybody's relieved, right? You're relieving the stress of the era of not knowing. But in a lot of ways, it's like an O. Henry story or a Twilight Zone episode where having all of this access to people all the time is actually far more stressful than how it was in the old days. And maybe it was just because we were just sort of used to it. Like, that's just the way that it was. And maybe young people don't find the information age stressful because they are just used to a world in which they're constantly wallowing in being connected.
Right.
And so maybe it's just sort of the transition between the two that is problematic for us. But because I assume that young people, if they were completely disconnected from the world, would lose their minds.
Oh, yeah.
If they had to spend, I think if Romy Pie Pants had to spend being 17 the way you had to spend being 17, not being able to call anyone.
Right.
No cell phones, no internet, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Like, very little ability to access other people, right? She would probably completely lose her mind.
Well, I think she wouldn't. I think it would change her. So we've talked about how, Romy doesn't want to drive, right? She does.
Yes,
she doesn't crave. She doesn't crave that freedom that we craved when we were young. But I think this is part of it.
Okay.
So
maybe
think about it. Anytime she wants access to her friends, she has it in her phone. So she can text with them, she can play video games with them, she can do all these interactive things with her friends without ever being in the same spot as them. Now, if she didn't have a cell phone and she didn't have that ability, and the only way she got to spend time with her friends was to physically be in the same space as her friends, all of a sudden that car becomes much more valuable to her because that car is a means to an end. It's a means to spending time with her friends. So, because I think about it, whenever I drove as a teenager, it was always to go see my friends. So I think this is part of this change, right? And I also think when we go on cruises with Romy, I love cruising with Romy because her phone gets shut off and I throw it in the safe and I don't even give her any internet access. And not that I couldn't, I choose not to, because what I find is when Romy doesn't have that technology, she is forced to be social with us, with other people. She's forced to actually interact in a one-on-one or one-on-group fashion. And she becomes a whole different person. A nicer person, frankly. If I'm being really honest, she's all of a sudden really nice. She's engaged. She wants to have a conversation. She wants to go on a walk. She wants to play games. She wants to do things that are more interactive with us because she doesn't have this constant fix from her cell phone with her friends or with her technology or whatever. So I like it a lot, actually. When the power goes out at our house, which happens, a lot, what we tend to do is we light some candles, and then the three of us, if it's in the evening or in the middle of the day, what we'll do is we'll sit and play card games, or we'll, by candlelight. We do that all the time, and it's great. It's really good family quality time because we don't have that technology, kind of fucking with us all the time, which, I think is really great. Now, going back to the music thing, though, Derek, because I know
circle it back
because I know we're going to be talking to that in a few minutes with Pete Crighton. But one of the cool things about technology now with our cell phones is from a music perspective, right? So Romy, I love exploring music through Romy's perspective because I'm fascinated by how Romy has cultivated the genres of music she enjoys and, the collection of music that she's been putting together and piecing together. So back when we were young, you had to buy a record or an 8-track or a CD or a cassette tape to listen to your music, right? That's how you listen to it. Or you listen to it on the radio and then you had to record your favorite songs off the radio so you could have a permanent copy of it. We did a lot of crazy shit, right, to get our music. And then we had all these CDs or tape cassettes or vinyl or all of the above. Gen X really had to buy all of them. It was some bullshit. Every time you bought a music collection on one format, it changed. But with kids today, everything is available in their technology. So in Romy's cell phone, she can access any generation's music taste and styles, and it's all right there. And then she can create her own individual playlist based on whatever music styles she's discovered or she likes. And what I find fascinating about it is Romy hasn't just stuck to the music of her current generation. So she's not just sticking to the Sabrina Carpenters and the Taylor Swifts and the, all these, young chickadees of today, but she's going way back.
I'm sorry, Grandma. Did you just say young chickadees
young
of today?
Chickadees of today. That's right. I
Terrible.
did. But no, Romy's going way back. She's going back even further than my generation's music style. Like she's gone back to the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. But she's gone way back. She loves Janis Joplin. She loves Jimi Hendrix. She loves the Doors. She has explored rock genres and folk genres and basically everything in between. Bob Marley. She loves Bob Marley. And the more she explores, older generations of music, the more she discovers that she likes. And then what she tends to do is if she really loves an artist, like Billy Joel is, every time I say Billy Joel is Romy's favorite artist, I'm always shocked by this. But Billy Joel is Romy's favorite artist. And so she discovered Billy Joel. She loves Billy Joel's music. And now she's gone back and she's actually invested in buying vinyl records, like original pressings and things like that of Billy Joel records that she also enjoys in a more physical format versus just the digital one on her phone. And so she goes back and she listens to this music as it was originally recorded, as it was originally meant to be listened to. And I find that super, super cool, by the way. But she's done that a lot with a lot of different artists. And I think it's because of this technology that she has that has enabled such a wide, diverse range of music to her that she can really explore and find what she loves. And I mean, I think that I wish I had that as a kid. Because, I guess I was in some ways exposed to other generations of music, like my parents. Whenever we take road trips, my parents had cassette tapes of like Al Jolson is a great example, right? And so
Al Jolson.
I know. So I grew up listening to Tootsie Tootsie. I listened to that stuff.
Toot toot tootsie. Goodbye.
Whatever. You know what I meant. Anyway, I grew up listening to that shit. My parents would put it on, and that's what we listened to in the car rides to wherever we were going. So I did listen to some older music, and then I got access to some of like my siblings' generations of music. I would find like one of my favorite albums of all time. I don't know if we've ever talked about this, but one of my favorite albums of all time is the Commitment soundtrack. I fucking love that album. I think that album is sensational. Every song on it, I fucking love it. And
Wasn't this from the independent movie from the 90s about the Irish house band?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I discovered this soundtrack because I never would have discovered it on my own. Let me just start by saying that. I only discovered it because I think Saban had a cassette tape of it.
You didn't see the movie?
Nope. I've never seen it.
Have you never seen the movie?
I have never seen the movie. But that album is one of my favorite albums.
If you love the soundtrack, you'll probably really enjoy the movie.
I probably would. But I only discovered it because of Saban. Saban had a cassette tape, and I popped it in one day and I listened to it. I was like, oh my God, this is the best fucking thing. And I loved it. And so, and then like, there's some other stuff that, like my brother John listened to, and like the Partridge Family. I think he had a couple vinyl records of that we listened to back in the day. And like, just other stuff that I was exposed to because of my older siblings, and their collections that they had left behind and I would just randomly discover. But it's not like it is today where it's so much easier to stumble across incredible music with these digital collections.
Yeah, I think it's definitely true about music in a way that it's not true about movies and TV.
Right.
Because the music platforms, I mean, I know early on with the streaming music platforms, there were some platforms that some artists didn't support because of their royalty fees and whatever. So there was a little bit of some exclusivity and whatever back and forth, but it feels like a lot of that is gone. So these days...
Yeah, it's definitely getting better.
Yeah, if you sign on for Amazon's music, like the premium version, or Apple Music, or Spotify, or Pandora, or any of these things, you're basically going to be getting the same chunk of music, which is some to varying degrees. I mean,
Right.
I think because we saw this with satellite radio early on, that there were all sorts of very niche channels, and as time went on, and there were limited channels, like some of the niche channels went away. I'm somebody that am into 1940s swing music, have
Right.
been since I was a little kid. And so the thing is that, but the people who loved that music are dead.
Yeah.
As my old boss Fred used to say, yeah, that's not around anymore because everyone who likes it is dead. And so the thing is that even on these streaming services, some of those artists or songs are available, but they're not necessarily, the algorithm isn't putting together playlists and promoting them to you easily.
Right.
The way that other genres, they're very specifically, the way that yacht rock in the last 10 to 15 years has just absolutely exploded as a genre of popular music, as a concept. And so, in that case, there's probably like 3 or 4 yacht rock channels on any of these, but
Right.
you might be harder pressed to find other things that are less popular. But it doesn't mean that the music isn't there. You just kind of have to curate it a bit yourself.
Right.
But it is great having access to those things because I have to say that for me, I will think about something and then realize, oh, I haven't heard that album or that song in a while. I was watching, with the 50th anniversary of Saturday Night Live, they did the show that they did, but then they did this 4-part documentary series about sort of the behind the scenes of Saturday Night Live on Peacock. And then they also had a documentary, which you would really enjoy, it was like 3 hours long or 3.5 hours long. And it was 50 years of music artists on SNL.
That's cool.
And sort of the role that Saturday Night Live has played in
Promoting
popular
those,
music. And how, because they had a whole thing about Adele early in her career, where she, the first time she was on Saturday Night Live, her album was 40th in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
And she was on SNL, and she got on a plane and flew home. And by the time her plane landed, her album was #1 in America.
That's crazy.
And her whole life changed.
Right.
Her entire career changed by being on Saturday Night Live. Anyway, so it was really fascinating of sort of that. But David Byrne and the Talking Heads was on that. And I thought, oh, yeah, David Byrne did this album 30 years ago called Uh-Oh. And my friend Michael, Crazy Michael, was really into it. We used to play it all the time. We lived together in Pasadena. And I was like, oh, I can whip this album up
Right.
through a streaming service and hear this album I haven't heard in 30 years, or hear this song I haven't heard in, since I was a teenager or whatever, and be able to enjoy it.
Right.
So it is very gratifying to have that kind of instant access to music. I wish we had a similar deep bank of movies and TV shows,
Right.
but that is more aggressively, gate kept.
Right.
And also they're constantly
is
fighting over the
probably-
rights of it and everything.
It's probably a little unfortunate because I think if they didn't gatekeep it so much, more people would be able to explore old movies and things like that in a way that it's challenging now, right? Because everything's divided up into all these different places and you have to go really kind of search for some things. It's not as easy or as accessible, which is
this is what makes me
bummer.
crazy about Max or Paramount Plus and maybe it's because Disney launched with everything on their platform, and it didn't their whole deep catalog of every Disney movie and everything, except for things like Song of the South.
Right.
Problematic everything
ones.
with an asterisk from the vault.
Right.
But at the end of the day, what they discovered was a lot of the deep vault content wasn't what people were watching. But I still think having access to the deep vault of content is a reason to continue to subscribe.
Right.
Even if you're not accessing it all the time. Like with Max, with all of the old movies that are part of TCM,
Mm-hmm.
make it available to get 1,000 old movies.
Right.
I know you have 1,000 old movies. They're all digitized because you show them on TCM and everything. And I get it. You want to curate the content and whatever else. Great. Curate it. But then make it available in a deep content search and let people access all this stuff. Even if they're not accessing it all the time, who cares? They will continue to subscribe because there is all that content there for them to enjoy.
Right.
So this as a strategy makes me crazy because every once in a while I'll want to watch some old movie or something, and then I can't fucking find it on any platform.
Right.
And it's like, I know that you own it, and there's not a rights issue here for a movie from the 1940s. You just fucking give me this movie.
Right.
It costs you nothing. You own it outright. It's not floating around in some kind of exclusive rights issue somewhere else. Like, just give me this fucking movie.
Right.
Oh, why?
Let me ask you something, Derek. Do you remember when we worked at the old facility at Sirius back in the early days? There was, I'm going to call it a vault because I don't know what else to call it, but there was a room at the office, and it was this big room, and when you went in it had these, it had bookshelves that moved, and the bookshelves were lined with thousands and thousands and thousands of CDs. And it was only, I think that the one there was only like a section of the rock catalog that they had at Sirius. And they had other, I don't know where they stored the rest of the vault of CDs. But what was awesome about it is that every fucking rock CD that had ever come out was basically in that, in that vault. And then they would take it and they would, if there was an obscure song, a B-side song or something like that one of the DJs wanted to play, they would go and they'd find the physical CD and then they would import it into the digital archive that we had there at the building. And I'm certain at this point someone has gone through, it was probably someone's job to go in and archive every CD that was in that vault. But I wonder, what happened to that vault? Because I found that vault to be the most fascinating, magical place. Just the idea, going into a massive old library and just seeing all the volumes of all the books that ever were written, right? It was like that, but for music. And I just thought, this might be the most magical, coolest place that ever existed. And I'd never seen anything like it.
It probably all moved down to D.C. Because they had a lot more physical space down in D.C.
Yeah, I imagine they did, yeah.
It's probably, because I think our old show is stored down there. That's probably where everything is stored.
Yeah.
And someday, the old facility will open up a National Archive of the History of Satellite Radio Museum in D.C., Washington, D.C.
Maybe.
And people will be able to go and access deep archives of all sorts of our old show, all sorts of old content. It's just been floating its ass around there. B-sides that nobody listens to of things. Old performances of artists who came in and out of that place. That's what they should do.
Mm-hmm.
And because I don't think there would be the same rights issues about making those kinds of things available, in a one-on-one, museum setting.
Right.
Kind of a thing. Because there are rights issues, with our old show. There are rights issues related to jingles and commercials and songs were played and whatever else. It's a lot of why a lot of old TV shows don't just get dumped onto streaming. It was a long fight for Moonlighting because it had so many pop songs in it. It's part of what delayed Moonlighting being into streaming for so long, because they had to unwind the rights for a lot of the pop songs, and then they had to choose other songs if they couldn't get the rights to a particular song. They had to choose another song. But it was really hard because sometimes, David Addison was singing along with some song, and if they couldn't get the rights to it, it's well, I guess we have to cut this part of the scene or not air the episode. It was a real problem anyway. But I think in a museum setting or, that kind of public display thing, it's not the same, not the same issues. But anyway. Well, if you have been thinking about music and how it has impacted your life because of our delightful conversation, and I use that word in quotes, stick around because Pete Crighton is going to be talking about his sex life and the soundtrack that went with it and the queer joy it created next here on Derek and Romaine.
More Derek and Romaine next.
Derek here, along with Romaine, and joining us now by phone, it is author Pete Crighton. He is the author of the new book, The Vinyl Diaries, Sex, Deep Cuts, and My Soundtrack to Queer Joy. It will be available everywhere fine books are sold on May 13th, but you can pre-order it now on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. You can also go to his Linktree and find a local bookseller near you to get the book from as well. And you can find Pete in social media. He is on Instagram and Twitter/X as PETCRI, the first three letters of his first and last name. Pete, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's a thrill to be here, honestly.
Absolutely.
A thrill, Derek. I like that.
I know. I can't even believe it. Well, I'm glad you're thrilled. We're happy to talk to you as well because your book touches on a lot of points here with us. Obviously, we are also gay. Romaine is a super music person, so we're in the nexus here, is what I'm saying.
Perfect. I love that.
Now, tell us a bit about your idea in coming up with writing this book.
I'll do my best. I was just sort of playing around with a couple things in a writing group, and I'd recently been having a number of dates with some younger men, I'll be honest. And one of the things that they were fascinated by was my record collection. And I have a pretty big record collection, all sorts of genres, but we're talking about 2,000 records. So it's a real statement in my house. And, the records became this really interesting device of a way to share stories across generations, to talk about my life, to talk about the artists' careers, and sort of how and why they influenced me as a queer person, all under the backdrop of having some wine, maybe having some sex, and really just connecting over a shared love of music or an artist.
Well, and I think obviously younger people have rediscovered vinyl, and a lot of current artists do specific vinyl releases, and I do think that there is more to a vinyl record than just the record itself. There's the album art, there's the liner notes, and there really is a lot to the experience of a vinyl record that is not currently available in a lot of especially in streaming of music. So what is it about vinyl records in particular that you think really people connect with the most?
I think different reasons for different people, but for me, so much of it is about intention. And, you're pulling out this actual object that is in your home and making a conscious choice to sit down and listen to it. And for me, it's so different than listening on a streaming service or a computer or some sort of lousy Bluetooth speaker that's in a corner. It's a real intentional act, and I think that just causes me and other people to really sit up and pay attention in a way that you don't normally do.
I mean, I agree with you on that. The intention is that's a great way of putting it, because you have to go select the album, you have to take it out of its case, you have to put it in, you have to do all the steps, and then you sit and enjoy it. I personally love vinyl. Because as an audio person, I love the warmness of vinyl. I love that you get so many aspects of the recording that you don't get with MP3s. I think it's a beautiful way of capturing audio. I'm glad, I don't know about you, but I'm really glad to see it making such a comeback, especially with young people. Yeah.
I love it, but it has caused the prices to go up considerably. In both used and new records, I've found really dramatically the past couple of years. But that's just my own selfishness. I am really happy that people are enjoying the medium and hopefully experiencing it the way I do.
And what else I find interesting about vinyl is, versus like cassette tapes or even CDs or any other form of audio that we've had in the past, is people hold on.
How dare you?
People hold on to vinyl. People hold on to vinyl for years and years and years. I mean, a couple Christmases ago, I was visiting a friend of mine, and I was she's an older woman. She's in her 70s. And I was telling her about how my daughter had started listening to a lot of vinyl records. And she asked her daughter, she goes, Kelly, go get me that bin. And she brings out this giant bin with some of the most amazing vinyl records in it. And she's like, take what you want. And she had held on to these for years. And let me tell you, there were some gems in there.
Oh, I'll bet. Those are the best collections to find, is someone who's really taking care of them and ship them around.
Yeah.
Lucky daughter.
Yeah.
Well, there's really something about an old milk crate full of vinyl records.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I can tell, Romaine, you have a bit of a love as well.
I do. When my daughter said she wanted a vinyl record player, I was ecstatic. And I didn't just go out and buy her some shitty ass one. I went out and I bought her a quality vinyl record player with quality speakers. And I'm like, if you're going to do this, you got to do it right. And then she's selfish and she wouldn't share it with my wife and I. So then I had to go and buy a second one for us.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. But what I love about my daughter is she doesn't listen to just obviously a lot of popular artists are releasing vinyl records nowadays because it's kind of the hip, cool thing to do. But my daughter isn't just interested in that. She's going back, decades and listening to older music from generations long before hers. And I dig that. I think I think she has a much broader appreciation for music because of that. And I love that about my daughter. I think it's one of the coolest things about her, actually.
Yeah. I don't know her, but I'm going to agree.
And trust me, she has dragged us out to some very, very cool vinyl record stores. So there's a really big one not far from where we live here in New Jersey. And, and we went in, the first time we went in there, I was like, holy crap. It was just this giant warehouse and it was just filled with the incredible vinyl. I mean, it was really fun to go in and just, look at artists from when I was a teenager, look at artists from when my older brothers and sisters, like the things they listened to. Like, I loved it. I thought it was great.
Fantastic. These kids are good for something.
Sometimes.
Well, her daughter is best for getting things off a tall shelf because she and her wife are not that tall. But, that's the only good thing about having a teenager. Now, speaking of being a teen, for you, music was such a big part of your journey, in your own sexual awakening. And so much of the book is about connecting the songs of the moment with men of the moment. Do you still find that you hear a particular song and it triggers a memory of a particular person?
Oh, totally. Yeah. I think there's something about how we hear music, especially when we're young, that is just, it becomes so much part of who we are and so much of the experience we're having. Like, I'll remember not just people, but exact moments in my life where I can see the living room in my friend's basement and we're dancing and I can see who's there with us. It's, for me, it's a real lightning bolt for triggering memories and sensory feelings from that time.
Now, I
don't think I'm alone in that.
No,
I
definitely
don't think so at all. But in writing the book, were there any encounters or people or songs that you revisited that you were hesitant to include in the book for some reason?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone, it's weird. I have never written any sort of autobiographical work. So that in its own right was a bit of a stumbling block for me. But most of the people I talked to, or I would, as I was writing a story, say, hey, I'm working on this, and what do you think? And hey, I want to talk about this when we were kids. How do you feel about it? And uniformly, everyone was like, great, go for it. So no, I didn't really hold in a lot. I think I'd reached a time in my life where it was time to just let people know this is who I am. These are the experiences that I've had in my life and not be embarrassed by that anymore.
Were there artists who were transformational for you? Like for me, the artist that immediately comes to mind for me is Madonna. When I discovered Madonna, I discovered this strong, independent woman who was kind of doing whatever the fuck she wanted, and I really loved and admired that about her. And the music was just a gateway into that, personality, and it allowed me to transform into a strong, independent woman. So were there artists like that for you?
Oh, for sure. Dozens. I think the B-52s come to mind for sure. They just as sort of guideposts for what queer people can be and look like and behave in the world was such a flashpoint for me. They were a big one. And there's, artists like Aretha Franklin who just blew open my mind about a different genre that, I hadn't been exposed up until then. And then that sent me down a wormhole of discovery of just different artists and genres. But I think as far as what you're talking about, that example with Madonna of I can be this.
Right.
Definitely the B-52s stand out for me. And I have to give a shout out to Jimmy Somerville of Bronski Beats. When they were 1983, 84, I think, when their first record came out, and he was an out gay man living very openly, I was like, whoa, that's allowed? It took me many more years to actually have the guts to say it out loud, but definitely that was an example that stuck with me.
Nice.
Now, you also like to go to concerts, and which is an area where you and I diverge, but you and Romaine have a connection. It's not like I have bad experiences at concerts, but it's the same thing with Broadway. I always have a good time when I go, but I'm never I can't wait until the next one. But
right.
Romaine does love the concert experience, and you do as well. So who of all of the artists who you've seen in concert, and this is going to be a tough one, who was the absolute best? What show and performer or band and tour
That's a
was
hard one,
the
Derek,
best?
because they're all so different.
Yeah, well,
they're all so different.
You have to choose.
You should have sent me this question days ago, so I could have really thought about it. It's not fair to throw this at me. Romaine, you couldn't appreciate this
Yes,
conflict I have right now. My good God. Well, I'm going to go with an easy one because it's in the book and it's very early, and it's the first concert I ever went to in my entire life, and it was to see Adam Ant, who was touring his Friend or Foe record in 1983. And there was a real moment of, I loved the music. I loved how just immediate a live music sound was. I hadn't really experienced it in that context before. But it was more seeing him run around the stage in his leather pants. Whoo! It was, this 13-year-old kid in grade 8 with his best friend Mike beside him. I was like, oh my God. I think I just figured out what I am. So the music was definitely mind-blowing, but the realization of community and example of artistry was really, and sexual hotness was a real moment for me in that concert.
All right, here's a question for you. Since so much of the Vinyl Diaries is really about this kind of self-discovery and your, what about having sex to music? I just did an episode about this topic for my other show, The Dildo Whisperer. But I'm curious, when you are feeling like it's sexy time, what is your go-to? Who are your artists? What is literally the soundtrack to your sex life?
Well, you're gonna be surprised by this, Romaine.
Am I?
I hate music when I'm having sex.
Whoa, you're right. I am surprised by that.
No, see, I knew you would be. I find it too distracting because I'm paying attention to the music as well as this person that I'm with. So I much prefer not having music.
Wow, you're right. I'm definitely surprised by that.
I'm an outlier.
Wow. Yeah, I think you are.
Yeah,
but I will say this. One of the things I learned about music is that it releases a lot of the same chemicals in your brain as sex does. So part of where the euphoria and joy comes when listening to music is for that reason. You're getting those same chemical releases that you get when you have the same pleasure centers are being triggered. So this is part of why people love music the way that they do. This
is brand new information to me, and I love it.
Yeah.
That is fascinating. I got to do some more reading on that. Thank you for sharing that.
You're very welcome.
I mean,
Yeah.
look, I'm with you. I think that music during sex is distracting.
Thank
but,
you.
well, especially in the old days, like like if a record starts skipping or whatever, you got to
That's
stop.
it. It's
No,
such
that's
an end.
true.
You're halfway through. It's like, gosh.
Yeah. Music used to be a lot higher maintenance. So, if you're in it for the long haul sexually, that music is a problem.
Valid.
But I think as setting the mood device, I think for, getting to a place of sexy time, I think music is great, sort of, before sex, dinner or casual conversation or whatever, a little, physical touch intimacy with some, soft lighting and a little music, great. But once you're getting into it, the music is just, it's
Focus on the task at hand.
right, exactly, the task at hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know who you two
And
are.
fully commit yourself to it. It's like intention, Romaine. It's like what I was saying earlier.
Yeah, but
My
for me,
intention is
I
to
find
focus on this person.
I find music with sex great because it gives you a beat, it gives you a rhythm, especially if your sexual partner doesn't have any. It can help. Trust me, we've all been there.
It's true.
Yeah. So,
I mean,
I just find it very helpful.
If you have to play a dance mix in order to get the person to have any rhythm at all, it might not be a good person to have sex with.
Well, you're not wrong, Derek. But sometimes you're in the mood, you're in the moment, and you didn't know beforehand, and now here you are.
That's very
I love
disappointing.
where this conversation's going.
You didn't expect this, did you, Pete? No.
Well, listen, but I'm glad I did.
So one of the things in your book is that you use the COVID-19 pandemic to sort of create a context, I assume, for younger readers who did not experience the AIDS epidemic and the rise of HIV. So talk a bit about using the context of our most recent pandemic to contextualize the past here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard thing to talk about because, it was a really tough time, both pandemics.
Yeah.
I think what I was trying to do, and this was very my own experience around COVID, was, it really triggered a lot of the anxieties and fears I had during the HIV/AIDS pandemic in a way that really surprised me. And so part of it was just sharing to sort of like this beacon out there of like, did anybody else feel this way through the COVID pandemic? Like, it was scary, and it really brought up some tough emotional stuff for me personally. And then I do, it's funny, I'm reading the audiobook right now, and there's the people I'm working with are considerably younger. And when I read the part about going through the second pandemic in my lifetime, both of them were like, oh, right. This is like, there's a generational thing where COVID's the only pandemic that they've lived through it now. So there was a conscious choice to try to tie those things together and, think about cross-generationally, how can we talk about those things and learn from both experiences? So I don't know if I did it successfully, but I'm hoping people take that sort of from the book when they read it.
Certainly. I think that probably for gay people, the response to COVID-19 was probably really across the board because on the one hand, like for you, it was very triggering of, oh my God, I cannot believe we are back in this place again. But for other people, like, my feeling was, well, unlike a lot of straight people, I've been down this road before. And
for sure.
And I'm still here, so I can I feel a little better prepared to navigate this, having already been through something similar that other people obviously did not have the same facility to do. But as we have seen, like on the other side of it, some people have not been able to return to normal. And, once the drug cocktails came out in the gay community, there were gay and straight people who were deep in the fight who also struggled to return to normalcy. later in the 90s and in the early 2000s. So, I also felt somewhat prepared for that reaction too.
For the fallout. Yeah, interesting. But I don't think we talk about it enough, really, to be honest. I think
yes,
it's just something, we just are so happy to sweep under the carpet and like, oh, that's over. But it's not, and it lives with us all. Mm-hmm. And I just think the more we can be honest about it and talk about it, the better off we're all going to be.
Yeah, it's funny when when COVID happened, there was this whole discussion of, there was the Spanish flu pandemic that killed 2% of the world population in 1918, and a whole bunch of people, me included, were like, this was not in school. This was not a plot in books or movies or anything else. The way that, for instance, World War II dominated movies between World War II battles and the Holocaust. You've got, we still, most recently, The Brutalist, nominated for, Best Picture at the Oscars, was about the post-war era for Holocaust survivors. Like, we have been in this space about World War II constantly for 75 years. At least 80 years. And yet the Spanish flu pandemic, people just wiped it out. And at the time, I just thought that's such a weird reaction. How come nobody ever talked about this? But then seeing how people have reacted to the COVID-19 pandemic and how quickly they don't want to talk about it. They want to just brush it away as if it never happened. Like, oh, now I see exactly why the Roaring 20s were the Roaring 20s. They couldn't wait to put that period behind them and never talk about it again.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, very interesting.
But weird. It's
very weird. I know. There's a really fundamental fucked up thing that I think human beings have in that regard.
It kind of is. But I am glad that with your new book, you are opening up the 80s and 90s and beyond to a new generation, and also giving people who lived through it an opportunity to see this era through your own eyes and all of the songs that they know and love.
Totally. Thank you. I know my biggest hope is that people are inspired to investigate an artist or a song or an album after they've read my book that they maybe didn't know before. And I'm like, that sounds kind of interesting. That's my most fervent hope.
Good. Well, I hope a whole bunch of people make Vinyl Diaries Spotify playlists based on like the songs that they have loved and discovered through your book.
I hope so too. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Our thanks to Pete Crighton for being with us. He is the author of The Vinyl Diaries, Sex, Deep Cuts, and My Soundtrack to Queer Joy. It's available for sale everywhere on May 13th, but you can pre-order it now on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or you can also go to his link tree because he does have information there on local booksellers that you can pre-order or get the book from directly. Support your local bookshop as well as big companies. And you can find the link to his link tree on his Instagram and on Twitter X. He is PETCRI on both the first three letters of his first and last name, Pete Crighton. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you both so very much. This has been a real fun chat.
Absolutely. You're listening to Derek and Romaine. Well, there you have it. The end of another perfect episode of Derek and Romaine. And if you want more great fun, go to dnrstudios.com and subscribe to get our show every day. And don't forget, for DNR Plus subscribers, you can use the DNR Cast app for iPhone, available now in the App Store.